is the pain at the pump, the price of gas. As you know, gas prices are taking a bite out of the budgets of millions of Americans. So let's take a look at what the average cost for a gallon of regular is in California today. It is $4.32. The state's elected tax collector now calling for a freeze on the gas tax. Is that a good solution? Let's ask our power panel. Ed Butowsky is the managing partner for Chapwood Capital Investment Management. Tobin Smith is CEO of NBT Equity Group. Backlash author and Fox News contributor Deneen Borelli joins us as well. Thanks so much for being here.
Hello.
Okay, so this California lawmaker, George Runner, says that the answer to the rising gas taxes in California, and obviously other states could adopt this if this were the answer, is to do away or to freeze the tax on gasoline. He says that could save $1.4 billion a year.
Well, look at oil makes up about 70% of the cost of gasoline. So if oil prices are going up and the taxes make up 12%, it's just going to be a smaller piece of a rising pie. He doesn't have control over the refineries that deliver. He doesn't have control over the price that's coming in. So it would put a ceiling on the amount of tax that would be, but it doesn't mean in any way that the price of gasoline would
Okay, but still a couple of bucks in people's pockets. Does that help?
Well, that's if it's a freeze on the percentage that it's being paid. I mean, as Toby said, I mean, if the price is going up and the tax remains the same, well, the tax doesn't increase overnight. So I don't even know where the revenue comes from on this, unless, quite frankly, they do something to pull gas prices down, because the tax itself is not increasing every single day.
But here's the thing. Our energy problem starts with President Obama. It starts at the top. He has a war on fossil fuels, coal, oil, and natural gas. For every penny gas prices go up, that's over $1 billion a year in less in consumer spending. And consumer spending is 70% of our economy. So Obama's war on fossil fuels is a war against hard-working Americans. And we need to realize that, because right now he's trying to criticize the fossil fuel industry when, in fact, he is part of this problem.
I mean, as you know, there's lots of debate about whether any one president can do that much about gas prices. So obviously, states are taking the matters into their own hands. Let's look at where the gas prices are in various states right now, because it's interesting. You know, we bellyache about it in New York, but we have a graph
to
show you that how high it is. Hawaii is the highest, $4.59. Alaska, obviously, $4.36. I mean, the farther you get, out of the continental U.S., California, $4.32, as we said. Illinois, $4.26. Washington, D.C.
But Illinois, here's interesting about Illinois. Remember, Illinois passed a law years ago that they have their own specific blend for gasoline. There's only 2 refiners in the country that can make that. One of those goes down, their prices in Chicago go up 30 cents. Now, that's government interference. That's the political aspect of it. And in May 1st, when we go to the summer blends, there's only 1 refinery that can make gasoline for Chicago. So we've created this environment, to your point, sort of the war on the energy, which, by the way, it used to take 8 cents to make $1 of GDP in the United States. It's now 3.5 cents. We're much better users of energy. But still, at the end of the day, our economy is built on fossil fuels.
Right. So you go ahead, Ed.
Oh, I just want to say, going back to to the point about what can the president do. There's a lot of rhetoric out there about the president can't do something. That's just nonsense. The president can do something very simply. He can allow for more drilling on federal land. We then increase the supply of oil on the planet. When you increase the supply of anything, the price will come down. There's nothing really magical here, but it's the talking points, it's the politics about this. Right. Increase the supply, price will come down. That's simple.
What you can't deny is that fossil fuels provide over 85% of our energy needs. But sadly, we have a president who has a war on fossil fuels. He's favoring the renewable energy industry. And on the flip side, we the people are paying much more in energy costs, which we have a wealth of abundance of natural resources. That shouldn't be the case.
And so, Tobin, I mean, obviously, it makes sense that people in all of these various states that are hardest hit would want to take matters into their own hands, these state lawmakers who want to take some power back and do something. Is there anything individually they can do in states?
Well, at the personal level, I keep saying this, Alysin, if you really are worried about the price of gas, get a car that gets 50% better gas mileage. I mean, that's one of the answers that we're seeing. That creates demand destruction. At the state level, they can change the tax issues. They can change the transportation tax. Right. And that will in a short term, but, that's a Band-Aid. That's a Band-Aid.
Yes,
that's not a fix.
And by the way, there's all sorts of other consequences that happen when you try to change the taxes on gas. I mean, what the opponents of what he's trying to do say is, okay, you can save that billion. However, what about our public transportation system, our police force, our 911 system? All of that would be cut into.
It's all systemic. I mean, you take money away from one area, don't think that that money was going nowhere. It was going to pay for some services. And in California, I guarantee you, there's a lot of services that money was going for. So you can't say that we would freeze that and then all of a sudden we'd see some sort of windfall. People would have more money in their pocket. And I'm still curious, when they say freeze it, are they saying you don't pay any tax or you just don't pay an income? Because these taxes don't go up every single day, every month.
Yeah, they're usually a fixed number. It's usually 30 cents a gallon, etc. It's not based on a percentage.
I don't know. He just says freezing the sales tax on gasoline when the pump price jumps above $4 a gallon.
Yeah.
And
Which means there's a trigger.
It
has to be over.
And he says that he admits it would just put a few bucks back in consumers' pockets.
Well, but I guess politically, it shows that you're doing something. But that's what just gets me. If we wanted to do something, we would take the 400 billion barrels of oil that we have in the United States that we've said, no, we're not going to go after those. And by not going after those, we could replace 3 to 4 million barrels a day in the United States that would bring the prices. We wouldn't care about Iran. We wouldn't care about the Strait of Hormuz. We could do that, and we could start that tomorrow. We've sort of had this attitude that, hey, this just doesn't matter. There's bigger issues like the snail dart fish somewhere, and we have to get real. That's.
But Tobin, I mean, even you saying that, hey, go out and buy a car that gets 50% more gas mileage. That is more newer technology. Those are hybrids that you're talking about. Those are the alternative energy things that the president is talking about. I mean, it sounds like you support some of those things that he's trying to do.
Well, actually, I support the Toyota Corolla or some of the other hybrids, which are not a hybrid at all. They're just better made car, and they're a smaller car. In other words, if a person really is finding that the gas prices is changing their lifestyle, then they can consume 50% less starting tomorrow with a different vehicle. Now, that's a personal thing. I don't want to be dependent on the government. I'll take responsibility.
But that is if people can afford them.
Sure,
Some of them are much more expensive, then they're smaller, and then they say they're much more dangerous if they're hit on impact. But the other thing people need to keep in mind is that the EPA regulations on the coal industry, people are screaming about gas prices. Yeah. Utility prices are going to go up because the EPA mandates on the fossil fuel industry, which is driving up prices, and we have over 50 coal-fired power plants that are scheduled to come offline. So we have rising gas prices, rising utility prices. Americans are suffering from reduced living standards already. So this is going to be a double whammy.
But I got to add on. You start talking about alternative energy sources. Solar energy doesn't make economic sense.
Yeah.
Wind energy does not make economic sense. And I don't understand how you take algae and get that in your car. I'm not really sure how all that works.
Algae turns into gasoline, but I will tell you this. Just to go to electronic, let's say you just wanted to go to an all-electric car. Well, where's that power going to come from? Right. In most states, that comes from coal. Right. So even if we increase the utilization of cars using electric, we have coal plants that we're closing. Now, by the way, the answer to that is natural gas. What's happening is natural gas prices are low enough that we're getting some substitution. But all this doesn't mean a hill of beans. If every car in America was a hybrid that got 40 miles per gallon, it wouldn't make 5 cents a difference because of the way we consume.
And we don't have the infrastructure.
Because everything we take less goes to China and India. Remember, it's not an American issue. It's a global issue. Right. And that's what people don't get.
I can solve the problem right now. Yeah. Drill more on the federal land. Prices will come down.
True.
That's what we need to do. End of discussion.
Okay, we're going to stop with a solution. We're going to quit while we're ahead. Ed Butowsky, Tobin Smith, Deneen Borelli, thanks so much for coming in to debate all of this. We appreciate it.